Under the deep canopy of the night sky, where thousands of transparent, one-by-one plates twinkled like stars, the camera gently drifted through wispy cotton clouds. Below lay the breathtaking neoplastic city, glowing warmly with translucent blue and clear bricks radiating light into the valley. Standing quietly on a jutting cliff was Grog. The gentle night breeze swayed his leopard print loincloth, and the white daisy on his orange hat drooped slightly, heavy with the evening dew. He reached out, his plastic hand tracing the rough edge of a gray slope brick, his eyes reflecting a profound, quiet nostalgia for the beautiful home they had built together. Down below the cliff, the colossal Saturn V-Rex rocket stood tall, bathed in the glow of dish-piece floodlights. Lila strolled around the massive launch base, her familiar dark green skirts swishing in the night air.
With a satisfied smile, she took her marker and checked off the very last box on her clipboard tile with a decisive stroke. Nearby, Click-Clack rolled past, meticulously using its clips to pick up a single speck of plastic dust and toss it into a bin. But in the shadowy blind spot behind the rocket's fuel tanks, a massive silhouette was moving stealthily. It was REXY, the tyrant dinosaur, walking on his tiptoes with comical caution. He gently placed his signature white-plated foot down to avoid making even the slightest clicking sound against the ground. Hunching his massive back, he looked around nervously, his tiny, useless arms clutching something tightly against his chest. A passing beam of light revealed his secret: a cute, medium nougat teddy bear. REXY lowered his giant neck, affectionately nuzzling his sturdy snout against the bear's round head, his eyes betraying a deep fear of the looming journey.
He looked up at the towering nose-cone cockpit and shook his head furiously, terrified that bringing the bear up there would only invite Grog's relentless teasing. Creeping along the rocket's hull, he stopped at a small hatch marked with a water drop, the liquid fuel compartment. With a soft crack, he pried the hatch open, revealing a narrow, empty space right next to the glowing orange energy tubes. REXY carefully tucked his little friend inside, waved a sorrowful, lingering goodbye, and slammed the hatch shut with a dry thud. He turned away, puffing out his chest and whistling an innocent, raspy tune as if nothing had happened. But he didn't notice the bear's chubby brown arm and round ear sticking out of the seam. The hatch wasn't completely sealed. An automated security laser, a translucent red beam, swept down the rocket's hull and instantly locked onto the gap. A piercing beep echoed from the sensor systems. Suddenly, the entire launch pad erupted into a deafening, wailing alarm. The floodlights snapped to translucent red, spinning and flashing frantically, bathing the night in a terrifying crimson glow. Up on the cliff, Grog jumped out of his skin, nearly tumbling into the abyss before grabbing a nearby Technic pipe and sliding straight down to the base. Lila dropped her marker, covering her ears against the shrieking sirens. But the worst victim was Click-Clack. The chaotic, offbeat flashing and blaring shattered its OCD programming completely. The little robot lost its mind, spinning in endless circles, flailing its clip arms wildly as thick cotton smoke billowed from its transparent head. REXY froze stiff as a statue, his round eyes wide with panic. Grog sprinted to the rocket's base, drawing his gray wrench and shouting to ask if saboteurs had infiltrated the camp. Lila scooped up her map, looking at the blinking screen, and announced a leak and a jammed door at fuel hatch number 3. Without hesitation, Grog and Lila sprinted around the massive hull.
Rexy sneaked sheepishly behind them, nervously wringing his tiny hands, overwhelmed with guilt. Click-Clack aggressively smacked an external control panel with its clip, trying in vain to kill the agonizing noise. Grog shined his flashlight onto the hatch, the beam illuminating the chubby brown arm wedged in the door. Confused by this furry anomaly, he wedged his wrench into the gap and pried it open with a loud clack. The hatch flew open, and the Lego teddy bear tumbled out, bouncing onto the ground. Grog picked it up, blinking in bewilderment, wondering aloud if their enemies were trying to use cuteness to destroy the rocket system. Lila stepped closer, glancing at the adorable bear before slowly turning her gaze to Rexy. The giant T-Rex shrank back, hiding his massive face behind his tiny hands. His four-segment tail tucked firmly between his legs, and he nervously scraped his white-plated toe against the ground in sheer embarrassment. Lila instantly understood the whole story. Her strict demeanor melted away, replaced by an incredibly warm and forgiving smile. She stepped forward and gently took the bear from Grog, who scratched his head in confusion, accidentally knocking his flower askew, asking if Rexy was smuggling it aboard. Rexy let out a tiny whimpering growl and nodded his heavy head. Grog opened his mouth to tease the big guy's shyness, but Lila raised a hand to stop him. She tiptoed to gently pet Rexy's massive snout, softly explaining that space is vast and everyone needs a brave companion. Pointing out that the fuel bay was far too hot and would burn his little friend, she opened her utility pouch.
She reached inside and pulled out a handful of delicious chocolate-printed tiles.
Chocolates?
Carefully, she stacked the chocolate bars into the empty compartment where the bear had been. She turned and winked at the dinosaur, calling it Reserve Energy Fuel, exclusively for Captain T-Rex. Rexy licked his plastic lips, his black eyes sparkling with pure, unadulterated joy. Lila pushed the hatch shut, and this time, a perfect, satisfying click echoed out. The door sealed tight, and the deafening alarm instantly died. The frantic red lights faded, returning the launch pad to a calm, soft, white glow. Click-Clack let out a long puff of exhaust and immediately powered down into sleep mode right on the spot. Carrying the teddy bear in one hand, Lila patted Rexy's back and guided him toward the pulley elevator.
That's it, Rexy.
As the cockpit doors opened, Lila securely strapped the bear into the co-pilot seat, right next to Rexy's tail control joystick.
Rexy happily stepped in, affectionately nuzzling his sturdy snout against the bear's head, his fear of the great unknown completely vanishing. Down below, Grog watched with a heartwarming smile. As Lila slid back down the rope, Grog looked at her, thanking the best logistics manager in the entire solar system. Lila giggled, nudging his shoulder, calling him the weirdest loincloth-wearing astronaut in the universe.
It works.
The two strolled back to the cliff edge and sat down, their plastic legs dangling over the precipice as they looked out into the distance.
Yeah.
Grog took off his orange hard hat, letting the white daisy tremble in the early morning mist. On the horizon, the deep night sky began to fade into a warm, gentle orange. The dawn of a grand new journey was breaking. A shooting star, a long, trailing, clear brick, streaked across the heavens. The camera slowly pulled back, capturing the majestic Saturn V-Rex rocket and the two tiny silhouettes sitting together on the cliff, before the screen gently faded to pure black. Snap! A bright circular spotlight punched through the pitch-black screen, illuminating a pure white baseplate right in the center. Tiny clicking footsteps echoed out as Zippy, a glossy black Lego ant, strolled right into the spotlight. He looked straight into the lens, his big, innocent black eyes blinking sweetly. Rearing up, Zippy stood firmly on his hind legs. With his front legs,
he proudly hoisted a special tile high into the air. It was a brilliant YouTube red brick, crisply printed with the words, "Like and subscribe" in stark white. Zippy nodded his head furiously, let out an incredibly cute, joyful squeak, and with a sharp click, the spotlight snapped off.